Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Right now, we'll be discussing activism on violence against women. The Center for Communication and Social Impact, CCSI, has called for immediate action to combat violence against women, citing alarming statistics from United Nations report. According to the report, 85,000 women and girls were killed globally in 2023, most by intimate partners or family members. Executive Director of CCSI, Mrs. Babafunke Fagbemi, described the figures as a wake-up call while addressing newsmen in Abuja on Monday during the commemoration of the 2024 International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Every 10 minutes, one woman or girl dies due to domestic violence, with Africa recording the highest rate of intimate partner and family-related femicides. She said, Fagbemi emphasized the need for stronger justice systems to hold perpetrators accountable and improve survivor support through accessible reporting channels. As part of the ongoing 16 Days of Activism campaign, Fagbemi urged global leaders and citizens to amplify advocacy efforts using hashtags like #NoExcuse and #16days. With the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action approaching in 2025, she called for renewed investments in prevention, protection, and accountability measures to ensure no woman or girl lives in fear of violence. Now, joining us to have a conversation on this is Isoken Enehikhuere. She's the communications lead at WARIF. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. So we're talking about violence against women, gender-based violence pretty much, not just even against women and children. And then there's been activism for 16 days. But I think my first question is to talk about the prevalence of, gender-based violence in Nigeria. In your own opinion, how are we doing? Because this is a conversation that we've had for so long. In fact, for years, we keep talking about this. And around this time, we're always amplifying voices. But if you're going to look at 2023, because even the reports we're seeing is quite alarming, where do you think we are on a global scale?
Well, on a global scale, I would say that in this part of the world, we're still a long way to go. I mean, if the statistics from last year is this alarming, we really are afraid of what 2024, has to unfold. The UN statistics says one in four girls have been abused before the age of 18.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself is an alarming rate because in this part of the world, we have cases, a whole lot of cases that are even not reported. Not to now talk of the ones that have even come to the limelight. I mean, that's why in the Women at Risk International Foundation, where we usually advocate a bystander approach, we always say that if you see something, you have to say something. Because the survivor passes through different types of trauma. Some don't have the courage to come forward to say, this has happened to me. So we always encourage that, you could be that person that the survivor needs to, encourage and come forward to say, this has happened to me. When it comes to statistics in this part of the world, we all are aware, it's common knowledge that, the numbers are much more than it's really reported. So, I mean, of date at the Women at Risk International Foundation, we've seen over 5,000 survivors from 2016 that we started the organization till now. And this is inclusive of women and children. The youngest we've seen at the WARIF Rape Crisis Center is a 7-month-old girl that was abused.
My goodness.
Yes, and we've seen as old as a 65-year-old grandma that also was, gang raped as well. And so that's why we usually, we carry out different initiatives to ensure that the message gets across to the grassroots level. I mean, there are people in different communities that do not even have full access to, all of this information. So we carry out different initiatives in WARIF. We start off with the WARIF Rape Crisis Center. It's a sexual assault referral center where we have survivors come in to get medical assistance, to get psychosocial support, counseling, ensure that they are they're well trained also to get back into the society. And then we also have educational activities that we also carry out under the WARIF Educational School Program for the girls, and then for the boys Conversation Cafe. I mean, we looked at it through the lens of the different spheres of the society. There's the boy, the girl, the man, the woman. We ensure that we carry out all of these initiatives to ensure that we get the necessary help, that the survivors rather get the necessary help that they need. For the WARIF Educational School Program, we carry out initiatives for girls between the ages of 13 to 16. teaching them about their body parts, encouraging them and telling them that, even if this has happened to you, there's a place to get help. There's a place of solace. WARIF is available to get all the help that you need. We also teach them, how to be aware of what abuse is. A lot of them don't even know what abuse is.
I was just about to ask that, because you spoke about the grassroots, and a lot of people do not even, people in the villages, they're not privy to the knowledge that we have, maybe people who are living in the urban centers. So how does this activism, how do we really get it to the grassroots, whereby you start to sensitize them? Because for some people, I would think it's societal culture. Right? It's something that they've known. Maybe you've seen your parents fight, your mom has hit your dad rather has hit your mom before, or you've seen so many people fight, and you think it has become the norm. So how do you integrate all of this, sensitize them properly to ensure that they know this is not right? I love the hashtag that is going on right now, which says no excuse. There should be no excuse for gender-based violence. So for people who are not even privy to social media or knowing what's going on in other parts of the world, how do you integrate this into them?
Yes. So one of the initiatives that we also carry out as an organization, we call the WARIF Gatekeepers Project. So we realized that there are different gatekeepers in different societies. So we start off with, under the WARIF Gatekeepers Project, we have the traditional birth attendants. Because we carried out the survey and we realized that there are people in this community that don't even go to hospitals to have their kids. So they rely on these traditional birth attendants, and then they have their babies with them. And, in so doing, they build this level of confidence with them to be able to share and trust as well. So when they go through issues of abuse, domestic violence, they tend to report these issues to these traditional birth attendants. So we've been able to galvanize over 11,000 of them across different communities, both in Lagos, in Oyo State and in Ogun State, empowering them, training them on how to be first responders to these issues. Because oftentimes we realize that these people don't even know what to say to these people when these issues come. They usually refer them to the ballers, to people, in place of power in these communities. So moving from the traditional birth attendants, encouraging them, telling them that this is how to spot these cases. A woman that comes in all cheerful to your clinic, and then the next time she comes, she's with a black eye, you know that something has happened, encouraging them on how to speak up, on how to help these survivors. Then we move forward to these traditional birth attendants. And from the traditional birth attendants, we move to the religious leaders. Because oftentimes a woman that's married, there's this closeness she has with a religious leader, either a pastor or an imam, because we also realize that these things happen in churches and even in mosques as well. We've seen a case of a 16-year-old that was sent to a mosque to learn how to do this Islamic way of learning, and then she was abused, by the person that was put in her care. We've had very serious and grave issues that we always have to fall back to say, these are the people in place of power and authority. We've sensitized over 700 religious leaders, both in the Christian and the Muslim faith, teaching them, empowering them that these are the things to spot. When you see a case of abuse, these are the things to look out for. This is how, because we've seen testimonies of where a survivor and the perpetrator attend the same place of worship. And they get to see themselves every time.
And you're right there.
And you're right there. And then we've also seen cases where, the person in charge of the place of worship was also saying, well, let's leave it to God. But these are the issues. And when we realize that this is what is happening, we had to ensure that we put a caution to you and we train these people, let them know how serious this is. Some people don't even get to heal from this in a lifetime.
Yeah, because it's trauma. And so I was going to ask, do you think there are enough collaborative efforts right now with this? Because of course, you have a platform that you're going around WARIF, trying to sensitize people, speak to people, help people, come out of all of that. But from the government, because of course, the primary responsibility of the government is to ensure safety, welfare for the citizens. So do you think there's enough collaborative efforts from the government right now? And would you also say that our policy framework, does it help? Because you're seeing perpetrators like this, I don't know if the justice system does enough to ensure that they are behind bars or they're facing the consequences. So how do you think the government can come to collaborate? Are they doing enough first? And if they are not, what better way can they collaborate at the moment to ensure that women and girls are safe in Nigeria?
So first, I'd like to answer the first one that says, is the government doing enough? the truth is, when it comes to cases of gender-based violence or sexual and gender-based violence, you really can't do enough because you always have to keep doing more. And I would say, on a global scale, in terms of talking Nigeria here, we're still coming up. But I would say for Lagos State, the government is doing a whole lot. The Lagos State government has zero tolerance to violence whatsoever against women, children, and the community at large. And a lot of programs, a lot of initiatives have come up. I mean, WARIF is partners with the Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency of Lagos State government, and they, and we've been in partnership with them since our inception, and it's been a very good one. We've had cases, where there are referrals of cases of abuse, from DSVA to WARIF, from WARIF to DSVA, vice versa. And I would say that I would give kudos to the governor of Lagos State because, the DSVA has really taken up, these cases and ensure that women, children are protected at all costs, be it domestic violence, gender-based violence, any form of gender-based violence, rape, abuse, grooming, and all of that. And then maybe on the larger scale, yes, like I said, we're getting there. I mean, we're still crawling, but hopefully we get to fly someday.
Amen to that.
So the goal will be to have more policies to ensure that these perpetrators are brought to book, increase policies, have more sexual assault referral centers across. There are some states that have maybe 1 to 2 sexual assault referral centers, and I believe that having more of this would also help survivors. We know that if this has happened, there's a place for me. Yeah. There's a place I can get help, because a lot of times people are afraid to come out because they even feel, we've had cases of, survivors going to the police station to report. And the first thing the police person says to the survivor is, wait till you go find them.
Because in this society, we've seen cases whereby the victim is being blamed. Exactly. How do you even shame a victim? I'm coming to report that this has happened to me. And a lot of times, even when you hear cases of rape, I know there are questions like, what were you wearing? What were you doing? How do you even blame the victim? And I think that is what sensitization is about, because we all need to have a paradigm shift when it comes to our psyche to know that there are some things that are not okay. There is no excuse for rape. There is no excuse for gender-based violence. There's no excuse for even emotional violence as well, because they're all forms of violence. But we have to wrap up. And my final question would be, what is your vision for a society that is free of gender-based violence against women?
A society that's free of gender-based violence is a society that is free for every man, woman, boy, girl. I mean, we have to subconsciously ensure that the society is a safe space. In this part of the world, a lot of times women find it difficult to be alone in the house, to go out at night, because there's certain things that, quote and unquote, a woman cannot be found doing. That's why every year, as part of the 16 days of activism activities that WARIF carries out, we have what we call the WARIF No Tolerance campaign. We've had it every year from 2019 up till now, where we have all our stakeholders, our family, friends, our partners, sponsors. We have everybody come together to march against violence against women. Every year, it happens during the 16 days of activism. And for 2024, it will be happening on Saturday, the 7th of December by 7 a.m. Oh, that's fantastic. Saturday in a couple of days' time. So, raising our voices, it's not a one person, it's our collective responsibility to ensure that every woman and girl lives in a society that's free from every form of violence.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been amazing speaking with you on this. And of course, I'm a woman. It's always going to be dear to my heart, because I want a society that is free of violence in every ramification. We want everybody, and I don't think it's just, a woman thing, because a lot of times people are like, oh, it's feminism. But it's not just that. You just want a society whereby I am not living in fear. I am safe. I know that I'm safe. I can stay here, and I don't think that someone who is above me, especially in power, would be able to take advantage of me. I want to feel safe at every given point in time. And I think that is a society that everyone should strive for. Everyone should want. So, Isoken, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on our show. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. All right. We're speaking with Isoken Enehikhuere. I hope I got your name right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And she's the communicator communications lead at WARIF. And we've just been talking about activism on women, or rather on gender-based violence against women. And it's been 16 days of activism. In fact, like she said, there's going to be, an event on the 7th. So you should always be part of that. All right, this is where we have to wrap it up on the show today. Thank you so much for having the breakfast with me, as always. My name is Rume Paulson. I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Good morning.